Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Friday the 6th of December and today we'll have a look at ARM Holding. It's been quite volatile lately, but as we can see here on the daily chart in a falling channel pattern, steady decline, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. And seems to be continuing lower, still below 55 moving average. Negative sentiment on the RSI got rejected here at the upper falling trend line, and I think we could see it pushing lower in the coming weeks. We are below the cloud here, and also here on the weekly we had this almost beautiful doji evening top and reversal pattern on the weekly, and it's forming what could appear to be a shoulder head shoulder with a left shoulder here, the head up here, and right shoulder there. The neckline is down here, if that is actually a shoulder head shoulder pattern, so it needs to confirm it by breaking below and closing below the neckline. So it's not confirmed just yet. On the super microcomputer, also one of the small ones that we haven't talked about for quite some time, it bounced off strongly from lows below, way below the $20, down around just around $17, and we can see here on the weekly how far back we had to go to find similar levels. We were actually back to 2023. So it was a massive bubble that burst, and it's almost a classic bubble where you have where no one was interested, suddenly takes off, a little bit of correction, and then it just basically goes almost vertical. Then we have a correction phase, and then massive sell-off, and down to around the correction, at least the first correction here, which is quite normal for a bubble burst. But now it's bounced quite strongly above 38.28 resistance area, just testing the cloud here. Can't really get up to the 100 moving average. Strong resistance up here just below $52. We are in a positive sentiment on the RSI, but let's see if can actually stay above that. If it starts sliding back below $38 and back below the 55 moving average, well, then it could be in trouble and the downtrend could resume. The US indices yesterday fairly muted. Seems like they're waiting for the job market report later today. That could give some direction. I think we will see a little bit of a correction. We are a little bit stressed, but no divergence on the RSI indicating we are likely to see higher. And I think we will see buying into the holiday period around Christmas and New Year's almost always as we see that every year. We have the Nasdaq 100, also a little bit correction, reached the 138.2, retracing at 21,513. Expect a little bit of a setback, possibly down towards 21,000. I don't think it will be broken, but it wouldn't matter much. We are still in a bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, so it looks fairly strong, at least on the short term. On the Dow Jones, also rejected here at the 138.2 projection at 45,078. Correction could be seen down to maybe around 44,000. And just to round this off, this morning in Asia, in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index is, as we speak, 1.5% higher, testing resistance here at 19,925. I think next week it could be broken and we could see a push up to 20,322. Will that be broken? That's a little bit more difficult to say. Maybe it also will be rejected at a cloud area here and the 55 moving average, but the 55 moving average is rising, so it's tracking it up a little bit, and key could be what will happen with the RSI. Will be rejected at 60 threshold or not, or will it move higher and close above? So worth to see if it's being rejected either here or here, and it could turn around and resume downtrend. Eurostoxx 50 has continued higher. Now we are also positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating likely higher highs. I think we will see a push towards 5,000 and maybe the previous peaks just above 5,050, 5,070 and a change. We closed just on the cloud area here. I think we will see it pushing higher. If it moves back below 4,900, well, then maybe it could falter a little bit, this bullish move, but it looks fairly strong here. Pre-market basically unchanged. DAX are very strong, also past few days, or the past week or so, pushed above the 176.4 projection at 20,320. RSI has cancelled its divergence. We are set for higher levels in the coming weeks. Here pre-market, basically no change, but we can see it's just reached the 176.4 projection here. I think we'll see a little bit of a setback, but again, that can also be affected by the US job report that is, I believe it's later today. The CAC 40 still struggling at 73.41. It touched it just and closed it below, but maybe it could have another go today. Euro dollar has formed or is forming what could develop into a inverted shoulder, head, shoulder, a little bit uneven here, as I say, Quasimodo, but it's not that bad actually. And we have a neckline here, testing the neckline at the moment. I have tried to guesstimate where it could move to if it closes, but if it really breaks above the neckline, it will further could be confirmed by a break above 106.10 right there. Then I think we'll see a massive move up to potentially 107.60 level, which will probably be around the 61.8 projection. Again, depending on where it breaks out, so we can have to adjust that accordingly. But for now, it seems like maybe it could break out. It could happen today or this afternoon, and then a push up there. If it takes out the so-called right shoulder here on the downside, 104.60, well, then that picture will be demolished, or if it just keeps trading sideways. So let's see about that. I think it will be in the bigger picture. It will be a bit of a short-term thing before it slides back lower. The cable reached the 50% of this downtrend here. I think we could push potentially higher to 61.8 at 128.34, and the 200 moving average. I wouldn't be surprised if that occurs. Usually when you see corrections in the FX market, it is to the 61.8 and sometimes to the 786 retracement. It's rarely to 50%, but it does occur, and sometimes also to 38.2. Euro sterling still trading in this falling wedge-like pattern here, testing the previous troughs here a couple of times, but it was a little bit lower there, but we can see here just around 82.70. There seems to be some strong interest where it is bouncing from, but we are still in a bearish trend. And it needs to get above 83.75 to reverse that, and then confirm this is a bearish falling wedge that it's breaking bullish out of. Dollar yen also in a wait and see mode at the moment here, above 149.40, could bounce up to the 38.2 at 151.74, possibly higher. A little bit of resistance in this area. You have the 21 coming down, you have the 200 moving average right there, that kind of putting a lid on it. Let's just adjust this a little bit so we can see it sliding sideways at the moment in this range here. If it takes out the lows here at 148.64 to the downside, well, then expect lower levels, 147.20 at least, possibly lower. Negative sentiment is indicating that scenario to play out, but let's see here later today if that can move anything. We have Euro Yen that has bounced a little bit stronger, just above the lows here from back in September and August. Should bounce up to 160.20 at the 38.2 retracement. Could bounce a little bit further, but we have the 55 and the 100 moving average coming down, the 21 also coming down, so kind of putting a lid on it, and we also below the cloud and negative sentiment on the RSI. So I think we will push low here in today and also in next week, but keep an eye on these levels there. Also yen Aussie yen is in a bearish trend. It hasn't reached the 786 retracement of 95.47 just yet. It could do it later today. We have a negative sentiment on the RSI. There's no divergence indicating lower levels. We are below the cloud. We are below the 98 resistance here. We have all moving averages now declining. So I think we'll see Aussie yen general picture is, well, it is in a bearish trend for now, and it really needs to get back above at least 99 for to demolish that picture. The sterling yen bounced also somewhat, not all the way up to the 38.2 at 192.60, but it could occur today. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, not imbalanced, meaning it's not showing divergence. So we could still see a bounce up to around the 192.60 and maybe up to around 193.70 resistance level here. Also here we have the 100 coming down. We have the 55 and 200s that are just flat. So that is giving it a hard time for the upside potential also. We have Aussie dollar in a bearish trend, as we talked about the past few days. After I took out these lows here, it confirmed the continued. There is divergence, but on the RSI, but I think it will break below this rising trend line, and there is potential down to 63.60, potentially lower to 63 level, maybe even lower than. But you have to go back all the way to 2023 to see lower levels down here. If we get down to 23, we just had a spike down here earlier this year, but we are in a bearish trend, a little bit stressed though, but we are in a bearish trend on Aussie dollar. Dollar Canada can't really make its mind up, so we are still stuck in this range between 141, which is spiked above but couldn't close above, and the 139.25 in this range. It needs to break out of that. There's divergence on the RSI, however, it's still a positive sentiment. So if it does break above the falling trend line here, it could be an indication that we will push higher in the coming weeks. But wait and see for the breakout at the range. It's a fairly big range, I know, but still. Sterling Canada, after a massive sell-off, very strong bounce, and now above the 61.8 retracement, just below the cloud, just below the 60 threshold on the RSI. Key will be, can it close in the cloud, going into neutral, can it also close, and that will be even more key, can it close above 60 threshold for on the RSI, the strength indicator. If you can do that, then there's potential higher for Sterling Canada towards 180 and maybe even higher. If it can't, expect it setting back, and we have the 55 moving average kind of trying to drag it lower here, drag it back into this range here. So that could occur. If we get back below 178, well, we could see selling pressure really coming back. On the Swiss could also move today. In Swiss, the interest rates or yields short term has gone to basically zero, which is a bit of a surprise, but we are this very tight range here, short term past couple of weeks now, very tight range with a little bit of a spike up and a little bit spike down. So if it takes out a 92.70, I think we could see a test of the lows here around 92, but it needs to take, and I actually think I'll remove this one, if it needs to take out the spike up there at 93.63 for any upside potential. But we are in a bearish trend. All moving averages are declining, giving it a pressure. And I think if we just very quickly look at the weekly chart, we can see, well, where we are. Yes, we are at these lows here, but there is no sign that it will turn around anytime soon. So it seems like the Swiss franc is really strengthening. The dollar Swiss has taken out, and it seems to unfolding this right. We have this rising wedge like pattern here, broke out of trying to get back in, didn't get all the way up, but bounced at the 50%, and the support here just around 88. Now it's below, close below yesterday, and I think it will continue lower today. So I have added two Fibonacci's of the entire wedge like pattern, and also from the base here, or the correction phase here. So that is the red one, and the other one is the blue one. So I think we could see it coming down here. I think later today it should come down to around 87.50. Which is both the 38.2 of the entire uptrend and 61 of this last leg up there. But there could be potential down to around 787 or just below that, where we have the 786 retracement of this last leg up there. If it turns around and takes out, and it really needs to take out the 88 and 90 level, that's a little spike up there for any chance of resuming bullish trend. The dollar index sold off yesterday, closed below the support at 106 once again, and at the 50% retracement of this last leg up here. And we can see that it is now trying maybe to get a little bit back, but I think we will see it dropping lower towards the 61.8 and 105, maybe down to the 786 retracement at 104.30. But let's see if it takes out, and let's just draw a horizontal line to get an idea. If it takes out these two tops there, just around 106.73, then the bullish trend is back in business. And there's still positive sentiment, but there's a divergence on the RSI. Gold has been really in a sideways range for the better part of the week. Could also change later today. You see here trying to dip down to the support here just above 2600, 2605. It will be interesting. We are negative sentiment on the RSI, failed to close above 60 threshold. If it takes out 2605, I think we could see it push lower to these lows here around 25.50, 25.35. If it can take out that little spike up here, I think that could push at 26.67. It could push it higher towards previous peaks here at 27.20. We are still in the cloud. We haven't closed below cloud, dipped a little bit below, so you can say we are in a neutral zone, but it's also still underlying bullish. It's just we need the RSI to get back above 60 threshold for a confirmation of that. The silver 31.55, and the 55 moving average really needs to close above those, and we need to have the threshold at 60 being broken and closed above by the RSI, the strength indicator. If it can't do that, sliding lower, downside pressure could resume, but we are basically in just a sideways range here between 29.70 and 31.55. Copper has is slowly ticking higher, but it's not really that convincing. Got rejected here at the 100 moving average, so still negative sentiment on the RSI. If it moves back below 417, I think we could get back to around 410, maybe a little bit lower. But if it takes out that spike up there at 426 and a change, then there's potential up to 430 at least, maybe 438. On the energy side, there's really not much to report on the crude oil. The WTI taking a little bit lower, but it really needs to take out the 66.70 support level, and Brent crude oil, which I think it will. Brent crude oil, if we have it 70s, but 70 or 72, taking low, we are below all moving averages, and they are all declining. So I think we'll see a break lower. So keep an eye on that. That could suddenly occur. On the Dutch TTF gas, testing the support at 45.86 at the moment. We have a double top pattern that could be confirmed. You see this double top like pattern here, but this is the valley. And if it takes out that, and especially a close below, well, then there's potential down to key strong support here at 43.96, and then it will close that gap. So that would be interesting to see if it can close that gap or not, and we will get a little bit cheaper gas here in Europe. It's still 4 to 5 times more expensive than in United States. If it moves around, turns around and takes out these tops here, well, then we can see on the weekly what's actually going on. We are still in a bullish trend. However, it's a little bit stretched, and there's potential up to 55, 56 level. The US nat gas, Henry Hub gas, also has been sliding lower, selling off after spiking above 350. It is currently just around the 38.2 retracement, where it's hovering around, spiking around at $305. If it takes out the lows here, that little spike down, then I think we could see it sliding back lower to around 273. You can see strong resistance up there at 364, and it's actually formed the top and reversal pattern there on the weekly. We can see a spike up, a bullish candle, then a doji, and then a likely bearish candle to end the week, and we could then slide lower in the coming weeks. On the yield side, we have the US 10-year Treasury yields, just a little bit also in waiting game here, just above the 38.2 retracement of the entire uptrend there, and just above the 55 moving average and the previous resistance, now support at 414. So very interesting here. We're still in a positive sentiment on the RSI. Hugging the 40 threshold line, so that would be key. If it can break above 433, 435, or close above, well, then we are back in bullish trend. The 2-year is just above the 406 support line and above the 38.2. Also in a waiting see game, we have the RSI bouncing off 40 threshold, could resume uptrend if it starts closing this gap here. The EuroBund, on the other hand, is the EuroBund future. You see, we had a very strong day yesterday, pushed higher, and actually did close above the resistance here at 136.29. If it can close the week above, and it spiked even higher to 136.5. Well, I think we could see it push up to 138.84. We are in a bullish sentiment on the weekly. We are in bullish sentiment on the daily. No divergence indicating likely higher levels. The UK Gilts future hovering around the 61.8 retracement. It seems like can't really let it go here, just around the 55 moving average. There is still potential up to around just below 97. Excuse me. But if it slides back below 95.30, then I think we will see downtrend resuming. On the cryptocurrencies, we have Bitcoin here that spiked to the 138.2 projection, and just above, I think got to just above 104,000. Then it faded back, and now we're still stuck in this range here between 90,680 and 99,860. So that it couldn't hold up, and we're still also having some problem here with the RSI forming like a triangle-like pattern, but we do have divergence on the RSI indicating we are in a bit of a stretch. So if it takes out 90,680 on the downside, then we could see a push lower towards 80,000 level. On the Ethereum, a little bit stronger, it wasn't that volatile, is now trading just below 4,000 in a bullish trend. However, there's some divergence there also on the RSI, but it hasn't moved as much as Bitcoin lately, but it is in a fairly strong bullish trend, and we are back to these levels here we saw earlier this summer. So let's see what's going on. Wait for the job report, see what's going on. Unfortunately, I'll be traveling later today, so I can't give an update on the yields at that time. But have a nice day and a nice weekend, and talk to you again Monday.